Good morning, everyone. Today is the second day Chol Moed Sukkos, Friday, Erev Shabbos. Today we are learning Perek Tes of Kilayim, the final Perek of Kilayim. And on Sunday, Rosh Hashem, we're starting Masechah Shvius. Baruch Hashem. We're moving along here. Today's Perek, today's Shir, sponsored Lilei Nishmas, Aaron Nachman, and Simcha Koyin. Yeshua Mordechai ben Shepsel, Bracha Sarah Bashmal Leib, Benem Moshe ben Yosef, and Neshamas Havan Aliyah, and with Refuah Shlema Ad Sarah Bas Leib, so Shar Choli Yisrael. And here we go. Perek Tes, Mishnah Aleph. Now we're talking about Kilayim of Garments, which is otherwise known as Shatnez. Okay, so Mishnah Aleph starts off. Ein Aser Mishum Kilayim Elet Semer Fishtim. The only problematic combination of fabrics is wool and linen. No other material, no other fabric is considered kilayim, except for wool and linen. Wool here refers to sheep's wool. It does not refer to thread made from hair of other animals, such as goats or camels, even though that's commonly referred to as wool. And linen is made from the flax plant, according to the Bartanura. So it's sheep wool and flax, which is linen. So now we're gonna learn about other halachas that apply to these materials. And no materials become tamei through negoyim except for wool and linen. And hakohanim loshel the shamis of beis hamidrash elet samei vishtim. So too, the kohanim do not wear any garments in the beis hamidrash except for those made of wool and linen. They must wear Shatnez. The Kohen Hedjot wears four begadim. He wears a kasones, a mechnasayim, a magbaz, and an avnei, which is the tunic, the trousers, a turban, and a belt. So the tunic, the trousers, and the turban were made of linen, and the belt was made of Shatnez. Although the belt that the Kohen wore was Shatnez and may not be worn by an ordinary person, the Torah commands that the Kohanim wear it while serving in the Beis Hamikdash. The Kohen Gadol wore an additional four garments, some of which contained additional threads beyond Shatnez. This is also why, among many reasons, why it's a problem for a Kohen, a hedger, to wear big day shares, big day gehuna outside of Beis Hamikdash, because if they're not doing the avodah b'shas avoda, then he's over Shatnez among other issues as well. Okay, let's go on. Tzemer Gemal with Tzemer Rechelim Shetarfen Zebazeh. So now you have a case where camel's hair and sheep's wool were blended together. So what's the halach? Im Rab and Hagamal mutter. If the majority of the mixture is from camel hair, then it is mutter to combine with linen, and the smaller amount is bottle. Im Rab and Rechelim usher. But if the majority of the mixture is from the wool of sheep, then it is forbidden to combine with the linen. Mechsa, usher. But however, if the mixture consists of half camel and half sheep's wool, half a camel's hair and half sheep's wool, it's a 50-50 mixture, it's usher to combine it with the linen. Since the camel's hair is not the majority, therefore it cannot be canceled out by the bottle of the sheep's wool. Then the same law applies to linen and hemp Hemp is a plant-derived material, synthetic, similar to linen. That someone blended together. If hemp is the majority because it's plant-based, then the then the linen will be bottled to the hemp. But if the linen is more, or if it's 50-50, then it's not bottled and you cannot combine it with linen with wool. Mishnah Beis Hashirayim v'hakalach ein behem mishum kilayim. So now, okay, so the first Mishnah taught us that that's only wool and linen and no other fabrics. So now the Chacham, that's according to the Torah. But the Chachamim answered other combinations that resemble wool and linen. So silk and kalach. Kalach is the material that resembles wool. Are not subject to the Torah's prohibition of kilayim. However, they are usher according to the Chachamim because they give the appearance of wrongdoing. Since silk looks like linen, it may not be combined with wool because the mixture will resemble Shatnez. Similarly, kalach, which looks like wool, may not be combined with linen. That seems to be a Rambam. I wonder what the actual halach is on that. I don't. This is not a halach here, so we're not gonna talk about that at the moment. But I just wonder what the halach. I didn't get a chance to look that up. Anyways, hakarim, the kasasus, kasasus, ein behem mishum kilayim. Mats and cushions made of a mixture of wool and linen are not subject to the issur of kilayim. Therefore, a person may sit or lie on such a mat or cushion. That is, however, provided the skin does not touch them. So if you're wearing clothes and you're sitting on a mat or a cushion, like in a car or on a couch, and you have clothes on, then you don't have a problem with a Shatnez couch or a Shatnez car seat or whatever. But if you're sitting there and any of your bare skin is touching the material, then that would be a problem. The loose thread might get wrapped around the skin. And arrive at kilayim. There's no permission to wear kilayim even casually. A person may not put on a garment of Shatnez even for a moment. Below yilbush kilayim afilu al gabe asara, and the person may not wear a Shatnez garment even on top of 10 other garments. Even though the garment's not directly on his skin, he has many layers under the Shatnez. Is not allowed to wear. Afilu lignov es hameches, even for the person of evading the tax. When a person who transports garments is charged a tax for garments he carries, but not for the clothing he is wearing. Kind of like going into the airport, and you can't bring the baggage on the plane, but people wear the clothing on, so he's gonna avoid a baggage fee. According to the Mishnah, you can't do that. A nice hot tea and a nice cold sukkah on Monday. Okay, Mishnah Gimel. Mitpachos hayadayim, hand towels. Mitpachos hasfarim, wrappings for Torah scrolls. Mitpachos hasfug, and bed towels. Ein behem mishum kilayim, are not subject to the prohibition of kilayim. These items may be made of Shatnez because the person does not wear them or cover himself with them, which are the only uses of Shatnez that are forbidden. And Rabbi Elazar answers all these items because a person might sometimes use them to cover himself, in which case the prohibition of Shatnez applies. Yeah, it's a bath towel. You use a bath towel to cover you sometimes. Maybe you're sitting out by the pool and you have a bath towel, you want to cover different parts of your body in order to protect yourself from the sun. That's a covering. So according to Rabbi Elazar, that would be a problem. Although I'm not really sure how you would cover yourself with a wrapping of a stick of Torah. That's a funny one. The barbershop. This is not the best Mishnah for Chalamayid because we don't go to the barbershops now. But a apron of a barber shop. You sit in that chair and they put the thing around your neck to shield you from all the hair. And apparently they had that back in times of Mishnah too. Those aprons that are made of wool and linen are forbidden because of the prohibition of kilayim. So even though the apron is only worn to protect a person's clothes from getting dirty and not to protect his body, nevertheless it's considered to be a garment, and thus is forbidden to wear from Shatnez, because of Shatnez. Mishnah Dalet, Tachrichi Hameis Umordas Shalchamor. The burial shrouds for a dead person and the saddle of a donkey. There's no issue with kilayim regarding those things. You can make tachrichim out of Shatnez because the mace is part of from all the mitzvahs, and therefore it does not have to keep the mitzvah of kilayim. And a saddle may be made from Shatnez because the person does not wear it, but simply sits in it and is permitted to sit on Shatnez as we discussed in the previous Mishnahs. Okay. Now here's a case where it's also to sit on the saddle made of Shatnez. Lo yitin hamadas al ksefo. However, one may not place a saddle of Shatnez on his shoulder. Feel the hotzi al azevel, even though he does it only in order to take out excrement, manure. That is because he's going to place the bucket of manure on top of the saddle so that manure doesn't directly rest on his shoulder. One who does this uses the saddle to cover himself, which is forbidden. So you're not allowed to do that. Mishnah Hey, Mochre Kisus, Mochre Kedarka. Merchants, garment merchants, that is, they may sell Shatnez in the usual manner, meaning that they can wear garments in order to show them to their customers, even though they cannot wear them for personal use. But if that's their business, then they can wear it as like a model to show it off, like on a runway. That would not be a problem, or like as a demonstration purposes. Like you go into these fancy suit stores, and all the guys are wearing these fancy suits. That's part of their job uniform. That's part of their attire, so a customer can say, "Hey, that's a cool suit. Where did I get?" That's part of the job. That would not be a problem with Shatnez, according to the Mishnah. As long as when they wear them in the summer, they do not intend the garments to protect them from the sun. And in the wintertime, that they do not intend for the garments to protect them from the cold. Because the prohibition to wear Shatnez only applies when a person wears the garment as an article of clothing. However, here he merely intends to measure and show its size, see how good it fits. He's not wearing it to protect him from the weather, which is forbidden. But the garment sellers who are makbid to avoid sin, they hang the Shatnez garments on a stick to display them rather than wearing the garments. Well, they'll put on a mannequin. They put the Shatnez garment on a mannequin and not wear it themselves. Okay, Mishnah Vav, which actually makes more sense. I guess this is before they had mannequins. Mishnah Vav, halfway to the Perek. Here we go. Tofri Ksus, Tofri Kedarka. Tailors may sew garments of Shatnez in their normal manner. They may drape the garments over the laps or knees while working. As long as in the summer they do not intend for the garments to protect them from the sun. In the winter they do not intend for the garments to protect them from the cold. The tailor is putting this on his knees or on his legs to. He has no intention of deriving any personal benefit. Rather, he is just doing his best to like sew the garment that he's currently sewing. But snowing comes from arts. However, the tailors who are makbid on avoiding sin, they sew the Shatnez garments on the ground and do not rest the garments on their body to avoid any possibility of chait. Mishnah Zayin, Tofrei Ksus Tofren Darkan. Where are we? I'm sorry, wrong Mishnah. I mean Mishnah Zavaga. Mishnah Zayin. Here we go. Habarisin, Habardisin, Dal Dal Dalmatkion. If I said that correctly. O Menalos, Apinon. Okay, Barisin and Bardisin are various types of woolen bed sheets. Dalmatikyon is a type of long woolen underwear. Umenalos Apinon and Pinon shoes, a type of shoes made from inferior wool. Lo Yubosh Bahen As Yivda. A person may not wear them until he checks to make sure that they do not contain Shatnez. Since the woolen items are often sewed with linen thread, a person may not wear them until he ensures that they are not Shatnez. Rabbi Yossi says, these items come from the coastal areas overseas. They do not require checking. Because it can be assumed that they are made with hemp and not linen. Therefore, there is no concern that they are Shatnez. It can be assumed that a zered boot. What's a zered boot? Doesn't really say here what a zered boot is. Oh, sorry. A type of wool-lined boot does not have kilayim because it is not made with linen. Person may therefore wear it without checking it for Shatnez. Mishnah Ches. Ein asar mishum kilayim el tavai the arug. The fabric is not prohibited as kilayim unless it is made of wool and linen threads that were spun and woven. I mean that they were actually spun into thread, each on its own, and then the threads were then woven together into cloth. However, if they were not spun into thread or woven together in the unfinished states, the combination is not Shatnez. Shenamar los still. The pasuk says "Lo silbash Shatnez," that you shall not wear Shatnez. The word Shatnez refers to darash shua tavoy benuz, something that is shua smooth, tavoy spun, and nose which is woven. This teaches that both spinning and weaving are as well as smoothing are necessary to make a garment Shatnez. Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar Omer, Shimon Ben Elazar says the person who wears Shatnez nalos umelis who es aviv sheba shemayim alav, turns away from the correct path and causes his father in heaven to turn away from him. Because the last syllable in the word Shatnez is nez, which is similar to the word nalus to turn away and melis to cause others to turn away. By wearing Shatnez, the person shows that he's turning away from Hashem, rebelling against him, and response, God turns away from the person and does not show him mercy. So, that so is a good enough reason not to wear a Shatnez, because we want to be as close to Hashem as possible and not ruin that. Mishnah Tes, Levadim Asurim Shehem Shuim, felts made of wool and linen fibers are forbidden because they are smooth. Although cloth is Shatnez by Torah law, only if it's smooth, spun, and woven, as we learned previously, the Chachamim prohibited a mixture of wool and linen that was processed in any one of these three ways. Felt is not spun or woven, but it is smooth, and therefore it is also midrabanan for Shatnez. Piv shall tzemer b'shal pishtan usher. If a border of wool is attached to a garment of linen, it is Shatnez and forbidden to be worn. Because the border surrounds and strengthens the weave. Um, since the border is not woven together with, since the border is not woven together with the linen, it does not fulfill the requirement to be Shatnez by Torah law. However, since the wool surrounds the linen weave and prevents it from unraveling, it's an Eser Derabana. Rabbi Yossi says, Mashicha shel argaman asuros. Belts of purple wool and are forbidden to be worn over a linen robe. Because the wearer tacks the belt onto the robe before he ties the belt around his waist. Since the belt is attached to the robe and belt together are considered shatnez, even though they are separate garments. The person may not tie a strip of wool to a strip of linen in order to wrap it around his waist. Even though a leather strap is in the middle, separating the wool and linen, even though they're not woven together, the belt is closed by tying them down to each other, and that connection of wool and linen is aser midrabanan. And finally, Mishnah Yud, the final Mishnah of Maseches Kilayim, Osos Hagardim, Osos Hakosin, labels of weavers and labels of launderers, meaning that the identifying labels that weavers and launderers sew to garments in their care. You know, like you have in the dry cleaners, you have those little tags they put on your shirts in order to like make sure that you get back what's yours. Asuros Mishum Kilayim, those are usher from Kilayim. That therefore, if the garment is wool and linen, and if the garment is wool and the linen thread is just a label, so vice versa, the garment is shatnez, it may not be worn until it's removed. But technically, and I guess maybe the tag that they put in the back from the manufacturer or the dry cleaning tag should be removed before you actually wear it. Okay. And then circling back to what you learned in Mishnah Ches, Hatochev Techifa Achas, the person stitches two pieces of cloth together with a single pass of the needle. You just put like one stitch in, because usually a full stitch is two parts. The Sheshin is an Erev. He just put in one stitch. Elo Chibur is not considered an attachment regarding Tuma. And similarly, if a piece of wool is stitched to the piece of linen, the single pass of the needle, the combination is not subject to Isra Kilayim because such a stitch is not considered an attachment. Shomta b'Shabbos Pater, likewise, one who undoes such a stitch on Shabbos is exempt. He has not transgressed the prohibition of undoing a stitch on Shabbos, the malacha of Perek. And finally, Asish Neiroshelet Echad. If a person brought the threads two ends to the same side, meaning he passed the needle through the fabric twice, in and then out again, but the result that both ends of the thread are now on the same side, Chibur, it is considered an attachment regarding the laws of Tumah. Similarly, if he attached wool and linen in such a manner, combination is subject to the law of Kilayim because such a stitch attaches the two fabrics. Likewise, one who undoes such a stitch on Shabbos is liable for violating the prohibition of undoing a stitch. And lastly, Rabbi Yehuda says two fabrics are not joined until one triples the stitch, meaning he passes the thread through them three times. And Hashok, Kupa, but start from the Kilayim, the sack and a box combined for the Kilayim, meaning that a piece of wool attached to a sack and a piece of linen is attached to a box, and the wool and linen are then sewn together with two stitches. The resulting combination of wool and linen is considered shatnez. While the wool and linen are attached to separate utensils, they can still become Shatnez if they are joined to each other. Hajar Alach, Maseches Kilayim, and tomorrow is on Sunday we will start Maseches Shvius.
Mazel tov.
Have a great day and a great Shabbos.